Last week in my Everything I Own video, I showed you everything I own as a minimalist. And the reason why I love listing my belongings so much is that every time I do it, I realize just how much I actually own. And then I start questioning myself. Do I still use this? Is it still worth it to me? Or can I maybe get by without it? So today I'm taking you through a few things I've personally let go of and a few from our shared belongings, my husband's and mine. And since you guys always want to know what happens to these things afterwards, what can I do with the things I declutter, I'll also tell you exactly where everything ended up. Let's start with the items I personally decluttered. The first thing is my e-reader. And this might come as a surprise to you since I love to read. But honestly, it is just way too expensive. I spent so much money on books, some of which I didn't even like in the end. And that money doesn't go directly to the authors, right? So you cannot really say that it's money well spent. Our libraries, they are free. And that's where I do get my books right now. And if they are not my thing, I'll just return them. For me, getting rid of this e-reader was really a symbol, moving away from Amazon and towards the library. I'm generally trying to live a little bit more frugally these days. And this was such a good step for me. Let me know in the comments, are you team e-reader or team library, or do you still buy books? I really enjoy to read every single one of your comments and love to hear your thoughts about it. So I can't wait to read it. Next item I've decluttered, my iPad. I was mainly using my iPad for business purposes to draw these visual notes on it. But there were two reasons why I still wanted to let go of it. First of all, I'm going to take a break from business. But then secondly, it's just that I noticed how quickly AI is developing. So before, I was drawing out these visual notes, but now I just quickly sketch out the infographics with a pencil and I let AI do the rest. And if I want to draw for my own creativity, I'd rather anyway do it completely offline without an iPad. Plus, electronics lose their value very quickly. So that's why I decided to rather give it away right now. My muffed phone holder. I'm currently working on two changes in my life. On the one hand, it's being more frugal. On the other, using less technology in my daily life. I love technology and I never want to shut myself off from it. But I believe that for children, especially in their early years, a childhood without screen is one of the most valuable things. Just like we had it in the 90s. And that just starts with us as a parent. I've mostly used the phone mount just to consume content anyway. And I want to do less of that. So sometimes it's just good to make things a little less convenient for yourself. And this shows how our possessions shape our habits. My wrist warmers. I bought them last winter because my wrist always started to hurt when I was working on my laptop. These days, I almost exclusively wear layered pieces with long sleeves. So I don't feel cold anymore around my wrists. And I'll be spending a lot less time anyways on my laptop in the foreseeable future. So I gave them away. Then my magic mouse. It's super old, it wasn't working properly anymore, and it was one of those last things I had to charge with one of those extra lightning cables. That always annoyed me. Now, I just use the trackpad without an external mouse. Because even here on my laptop, if I get too comfortable, I just waste too much time on it. When I used to have an external screen for my laptop and also an extra keyboard, a mouse, I just often wasted too much time on research and on projects instead of working efficiently and then spending my time offline. Now that I'm rid of all of that, I open my laptop, work, and that's it. That's just how I am personally most efficient. My cotton bag. Now, let's talk about things that hold memories. I bought this one in Japan, and at first I had a hard time letting go of it for 2 reasons. It was super cute and kind of matched my style, and it was also a souvenir. But I just ended up never using it. I wanted to use it as an extra bag when I go out grocery shopping, but I usually then didn't really have it with me. Plus, it was usually always wrinkled, and you guys already know that I don't like that because it just doesn't look nice. But I also don't like ironing. And I told myself I carry my memories of Japan with me. Plus, I also have one piece, the pearl earrings from Japan, that I can keep as a memory. The cotton bag was beautiful, but beauty is just not everything, even when it comes to our belongings. These brown pants. I'm not actually decluttering them in the traditional way. I just borrowed them from a friend, and now I'm giving them back to her. But I really wanted to include them here as a little encouragement for you guys. I've been swapping, sharing, and trying out a lot of things with my friends lately. That way, we learn from each other and can try things out without having to buy them right away. And because I was such a fan of these pants that my friend borrowed me, I now ordered one for myself. Just in a blue fabric, since the brown ones were no longer available. My pajama pants. I bought them secondhand while I was pregnant because I wanted something really comfy. But they were made out of polyester and my legs always felt so sticky in them. So therefore, I just never really wore them for long. My learning from that is that if I ever buy loungewear again, I'll pay even closer attention to the materials. But I'll be honest with you, when it comes to loungewear, I just prefer to steal my husband's stuff anyway. Now let's talk about some of the shared things that we let go of around the house. The office desk. Obviously, I'm taking a break from work, but that wasn't the real reason. I've kind of moved away from the idea of owning things just for that one specific purpose. My office supplies are always stored away in a drawer anyways. I never leave them on my desk. And I like to work in different places. We're about to get an old dining table passed down from the family, and sharing meals together is so much more important to me for the family than having my own office desks. So in the future, when I work, I'll use the dining table for that. And until then, I just sit on the floor or on the sofa to work. Then the office chair, same issue, and likewise, it's gone. Our sideboard. We used to have this sideboard in our living room, so my husband could store all of these things in it. But even though everything was put away, the room somehow just still felt busy. Our bedroom, on the other hand, which we've kept completely empty, apart obviously from our bed, always felt like this little oasis. So we wanted to bring that same sense of calm into our living room. We wanted to create a space where we can simply live, be ourselves and relax. Plus, every extra shelf also means extra cleaning. Now that our living room is so much emptier, it's so much easier to quickly wipe everything down. And that's why the sideboard had to go too. Our TV. When I lived on my own, I never owned a TV because I've always believed that our environment shapes our habits, and I just never wanted to become someone who spends every evening sitting in front of the television. My husband, however, absolutely loves watching movies, and I have to admit, he's shown me that there are actually some amazing films and also documentaries worth watching. So we did really enjoy watching TV. But even then, we realized that because the TV was sitting in the middle of the room, we suddenly started turning it on while eating dinner far often than we wanted. It was fine for a while, but especially knowing that we'll soon have a newborn here living with us, I definitely don't want to expose them to the screens. So the TV had to go. We've now been without it for a few months actually, and it has made living together so much more peacefully. We also let go of this lamp. I originally bought it for Ivy's room, but I actually never really liked it. To this day, I honestly don't really have an idea why I bought it. We simply put back the standard ceiling light that was already there when we moved in. I actually like it so much more. We never needed a new one at the first place. But, mistakes happen and I'm happy that we decluttered it now. Then the mirror. We kept it from my husband's old apartment. It was just standing around, and at one point it even fell almost on Ivy and it almost hurt her. So we gave it away. Instead, we were able to take this old mirror that someone else no longer needed, and it's just simply beautiful. It gives the room so much more character. Then the floor lamp. Same story. We brought it over from my husband's old apartment, but we've now replaced it with something that actually adds character to the room. So those last two pieces, the mirror and the floor lamp, they are a perfect example of why I don't think you should buy everything when you first move into a new place. Just bring your old things and see how you actually live first. We ended up getting these two beautiful pieces completely for free, and they perfectly fit our apartment and our style. If we had bought something right away, we would have spent so much more money and probably ended up with something we actually didn't love. So remember to always take your time. Then finally, 2 kitchen items. First is our cheese grater. It was already falling apart anyway, and here is something important. When you're decluttering, let things go first instead of immediately replacing them. Give yourself some time and see if you actually need the item and what exactly do you need. We will probably buy another cheese grater eventually, but for now, we just simply buy the grated cheese and give it some time. And then our bread knife. We had a separate bread knife, but we always ended up using our multifunctional Victorinox knives instead. So this one could go. So where did now all these items end up? That is the part you always ask me about. What do I actually do with the things I declutter? The first option is renting a shelf in a second-hand store. And this is honestly my favorite concept. You rent a shelf in a shop and you bring your items there. You pay them a daily rental fee and you sell everything through the store. And the crazy part is that for me, usually almost everything actually sells. People love browsing these places. Now here's a few tips for selling more successfully. Price your items realistically. I usually aim for about 1/3 of the original price. During the last days of selling my things, I also usually add a little sale sign. I arrange everything neatly by color and I stop by several times to keep the shelf look tidy. And this time I actually shared my shelf with a friend because I didn't have that many things to sell. That way we could split the rental fee. The things I sold there was the cotton bag, the wrist warmers, the e-reader, the lamp and the phone mount. Then, of course, there is eBay or Facebook Marketplace. The principle is the exact same everywhere. You list your items with either a fixed price or as an auction and someone comes and picks it up. Here's a few tips for these platforms as well. They run on algorithms, right? So good photos are important, just like thumbnails on YouTube, but also keywords matter a lot because that is how people can find your listings. Just for example, look at products on Amazon. Some listings feel like they have 30 different search terms in the title. So don't just include the brand, add everything you can think of. For example, the color, the shape, the size, the features, the details, the use cases. For example, if you're selling a garden lounge, mention things like the colors, but is it with or without armrests? Is it with or without cushions? Where would this actually fit? These platforms also tend to show your listings more often if you upload regularly. So if you want, you can also, for example, sell the things from your parents, your neighbors, or your friends. It helps build activity on your account. And don't forget that you can also give away items for free through these platforms. It still counts as a completed transactions, which can then improve your visibility. The things I sold on eBay were the office desk, the office chair, the mirror, and the sideboard. Then there is a concept called revendo here, which is just a recycling and resale store for old Apple devices. It may have a different name where you live, but there's probably a similar concept. I simply hand over my electronics, they wipe the devices, refurbish them, and sell them again. I could probably make a little more money selling them on eBay, but selling electronics privately has always felt a little bit uncomfortable to me. So that way it's just easy. The thing I dropped off there, obviously, is my iPad. The clothing donation bag. Into that, there went my pajama pants, which were already getting pretty worn out. And then, of course, there's the thrift store. We have a local thrift store where we can just bring things and they resell them. And that's where I bought the bread knife, but also the lamp that I tried to sell at the shelf secondhand store, but nobody bought it. Then there's some things that had to be thrown away because sometimes broken is simply broken. That was the cheese grater that was broken and also the TV, which we disposed of properly through the appropriate recycling system. Now it's your turn. What have you decluttered recently and where did it end up? I would love to hear that in the comments. I talk to you guys soon. Bye!